So welcome to this special session. And before we begin, I think there was that echo. I just want to say I'm very proud to see you all here and for this curious and insightful session titled How to Break a Career into AI When I Graduate. So this session, it's about people, it's about understanding the stories behind some of the successful AI careers, what did really work for them and what didn't, what applies to our panelists. And what we are looking for is what can we take away to shape our own journey for those who are aspiring careers from different hubs and other participants in the room. So as we know, today AI is more than just algorithms or code. It's shaping a lot of industries. And the truth is the space is still being defined. So this means there is the room for young minds like ourselves here to join and to lead the industry. But I think the journey is still confusing. For someone maybe, do I need to be a developer or you hear me again?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So someone may be still confusing. Do I need to be a developer, or what if I didn't start computer science? Where are the jobs? What do I need to know? How can I know if I'm passionate or but I'm unsure if I can maybe pursue career in AI? So what brought us here, I would have different questions to find and inspiring others, just getting to understand where it was the beginning for some of our panelists here. What are the lessons that they get from there? And then we can having the good takeaways and what are the maybe their suggestions for others to get into this field and getting into understanding what can it be the good strategies, the peoples maybe they could use to get into career into AI. But before starting, I will have an introduction of every participant. I'm not sure if Farhan Yusuf is here.
I don't see him in the list actually, so
okay,
hopefully he'll join. He'll join soon.
Okay, I think we can start with Dr. Dina Machuve for a bio. Dr. Dina Machuve is a co-founder and CTO of DevData Analytics, which is a data science consulting startup. Her research interest has been in developing data-driven solutions in agriculture. And currently, she's the member of Women in Tech and AI program for empowering African women participation into AI. She serves on the board of Data Science Africa, DSA, which is a non-profit organization for training students at African universities in data science and emerging technologies for the development of solutions to African problems. She had PhD in Information and Communication Science and Engineering, a Master of Science and Bachelor in Electrical Engineering. Dr. Dina Machuve, we are happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Really humble.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. The other panelist is PhD student, as she mentioned earlier, and we can call her Dr. Elsie Kaaya. Dr. Elsie is an assistant lecturer in machine learning at Nelson Mandela African Institute of Science and Technology, with a bachelor in network engineering and master's in communication engineering, an academic foundation that supports her interdisciplinary approach in applying AI in healthcare. Early in her career, she developed the Mama app, which is an AI-powered pregnancy application designed to support women in Africa, an innovation that earned recognition from the global institution like University of Oxford. And she's currently pursuing PhD in computing science with a research at intersection of federated learning and mental health. Her current focus is on the major depressive disorder, MDD, using behavioral data from the wearable devices to train teen federated learning models that assess treatment response. In parallel, she explored the use of federated learning in pharmacogenomics to enable personalized treatment selection for the individuals living with the MDD. And Dr. Elsie Kaaya, we are proud to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
The other panelist is Mr. Farhan Yusuf. We hope he will join us soon.
Yeah, Farhan actually has just joined Mgasa Samani. Yeah, Farhan has just joined.
He's joined.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Farhan is the pharmacist.
Yes, I am here.
Thank you, Farhan, and nice to have you here today. Farhan Yusuf is a pharmacist with 14 years of experience in health space in Tanzania, spanning across the public, private, and non-profit sectors. His experience including carrying out different roles related to health commodity logistics and pharmaceutical supply chains, and public-private partnership for health in support of various projects and programs funded by various developing entities. These roles has been including leadership and governance, program management, monitoring and evaluation, and technical support and communication, and knowledge management. Despite having primarily health background, Farhan has always been very interested in technology and its application in health sector, and more broadly, which is what brought him in working into the space of AI with organizations like Tanzania AI Community. And recently, he has been supporting different organizations on different health systems, strengthening the related activities as a consultant. So he is the keen promoter of sustainable development goals and support various other causes related to education, careers, and youth empowerment. Mr. Farhan, we are very happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Mgasa.
Okay, thank you. So, for the sake of time, we had an open discussion, which would end up for the next 40 minutes, and then we'll have a panel discussions from the panelists, from the members who have joined us here today, where they would ask their own question if they would have them. And our questions will be categorized into three categories. The first category will be the origin and the early influence among you. Where did it all begin, and who helped you to see the possibility, get into the career path that you have today? And the second category would be around building the real capacity, skills, and the mistakes maybe, or the breakthrough that made you to get into this space. And the last category would be the impact, the purpose, and the future pathway, where we would see what are you trying to build as the legacy, and how can someone join you or getting started into this journey. So I would select here some certain questions and then pick up to one of you. So for that, without further ado, I will be starting with Dr. Dina Machuve. So the first questions, Dr. Dina, can you take us back early in your undergraduate years? What are the early interests, or the questions and the experience that planted the seed for your journey into AI?
Thank you for the question, Mgasa. That's very interesting. And actually, data science is new. By then, I remember in 2016, my mentor came across an announcement of a summer school at Makerere University in Uganda. And he really approached me and said, I really need to attend that. And during that time, I was actually doing my PhD in information and communication sciences and engineering. So the programming that I was using by then on my research work was mainly the normal web frameworks, PHP, Java. I was working on developing a mobile application for use by small and medium enterprises. And so I was developing a mobile app by then. And then he said, I really see this field of data science adding more value in the work that you do. I didn't realize it then. And he said, I can't tell you more, but I really think you need to attend this conference. And from there, you'll find your way through. Yeah, I didn't see it when he was telling me, but I really took the step forward of attending the conference at Makerere University in 2016. It was really an eye-opener. There I met different researchers from different universities. There was a keynote speaker from Sheffield University by then, but that professor now is at Cambridge University in the UK. And his talk really inspired me, and it was really a turning point for me to really focus on data science and machine learning seriously. And at Makerere University, there were junior lecturers who had just returned from abroad doing their PhD as well in machine learning, and they were addressing local problems. So really the turning point for me was that possibility of using data science and machine learning to address local challenges. And by then, I remember this particular lecturer had just returned from his PhD in the Netherlands, and he was working on developing a machine learning model for detecting cassava diseases in Uganda. So that was really the turning point for me that, you are learning all these high-tech technologies, but the challenges you work on are really the local challenges. So that was really a turning point. And then when I returned home in Tanzania, by then I was a lecturer at Nelson Mandela. That's when I really used all my energy and to really excite students to enter into the field. And I would spare my time beyond the normal teaching hours to really delve into programming, Python work, and the data science, all the resources. And also, what really motivated me to work in machine learning is that a lot of resources were open source. So you didn't have to incur much expenses besides your internet bandwidth to access all the vast knowledge resources. And even the gurus were really approachable, and it was really a field coming up. So it was just the right time to get into the field, and it was really an exciting community. Yeah, that's what I can say in short. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And maybe to Dr. Elsie, can you also share a bit early in your maybe undergraduate years, what were the very interesting questions or experience that planted your seed to select that this is my career path in AI, the early signals or the interest in the question that you had in your beginning?
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for your question. So with my my story, it really does begin with Dr. Dina. I didn't begin practicing or getting myself into the space until I was studying my master's. So right before I started my master's research, there is a module that Dr. Dina was teaching, which was machine learning. So as she said, she really sort of inspired me and introduced me to the field. And I remember in 2019, when I was in my first year, she told us about the deep learning in Indaba. And she really encouraged us to apply for the the summer school, I guess. So then I did. I remember not getting an accommodation grant, but I did get travel. No, I didn't get an accommodation or travel, but it was in Nairobi, and NM-AIST is in Arusha. So it was so easy for me to sort of travel to the deep learning in Indaba. So when I got there, I got to understand what machine learning was. Of course, I had some foundation from the classes I attended that Dr. Dina was facilitating. So when I got to the deep learning in Indaba, I got to learn a lot, meet so many people. I've always been so passionate about solving health problems. And I got to talk up to so many people. They helped me understand how it is. The community there was very warm, very inviting. I remember on my trip back home, I was just thinking about machine learning. Like I was speaking, breathing machine learning, and I was so excited to also have like carry out a research in the area. So after getting back to the university, I remember starting to I think I took a course. Dr. Dina at the time encouraged us to take an online course. I think it was IBM, some IBM courses that were related to artificial intelligence. So during that time, I got to really understand what it was and really understand how it can be applied. From there, I was able to select a research topic, got a really good supervisor, Dr. Edith, and so she really guided me towards it. It has been a journey for me that has been full of support, like immersive support. So it was just easy for me. And after that, after my Mama app was done, which Mama app was the product of my master's research, I remember in my defense, Dr. Dina was also one of the reviewers who assessed my work. So it's really special for me that she's also here for as I'm telling the story, because she also really played a very big role in sort of shaping me into becoming the researcher I am today. Then from there, I also was able to attend a lot of other conferences that were related to AI. And I not only did I form connections who were crucial for me in the AI space, but I also did form good friendships that have really helped me get to where I am through, advice talking about research topics. I have a friend who I talk to like every other week about my research, and she'll tell me about her research, what is new in technology, what is there anything that we can do to integrate into both our researches. So for me, it has always been very community based and very support based, but of course, all the people that I was able to meet along the way sort of really pushed me towards this direction.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I think we see the similar patterns. It was the peoples, the communities that I think plays an important role for shaping our journey, as we have heard from Dr. Dina and you as well. Thank you for that, Dr. Elsie. Coming to Mr. Farhan Yusuf, the same questions. What are the early questions or the experience that planted the seed for your journey into AI?
Thank you so much, Mgasa. I guess it's nice that perhaps I get to provide a slightly different experience from Dr. Dina and Dr. Elsie, because I'm not someone who is primarily from the health sector, primarily from the tech sector, and so my interest in AI is very much related to something that I think is also an important point, especially for young professionals to sort of understand, is that I've always been hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. I mean, for me, I think one of the very important things I would like to suggest to like young professionals is to keep up with what's happening around the world, right? So from the time I was in university and when I started my career, which was primarily in the health sector, I have always been someone who keeps up with like what's happening in the world around me. So, for example, I would follow, the fourth industrial revolution, the fifth industrial revolution. I would, read about the World Economic Forum and just keep up. I think as a young professional, especially with how quickly things are changing in today's world, it's extremely important for one to sort of just keep up, right? And make sure that you understand where the dynamics of economies and the dynamics of the job market, etc., are going towards. What are people talking about? What are recent updates? And so for me, that's where my interest started. I mean, I've always been interested in use of technology, especially within the health sector. But then as AI was coming up and data science, and in the health sector also, we talk a lot about data used for decision making. I was very interested to see, what's the potential for this? So I actually started off as being a use case person for, how can we use AI within health? But the more I sort of got involved, through the Tanzania AI community and through some other initiatives, I realized that, AI in itself, with how it's growing, etc., we need to think so much about the governance of AI and the policies around AI and all that to make sure that while it is a technology with a lot of promise, that it is doing something that is of real good use to us. And in fact, now I like to say that I advocate a humans first approach where even as we are thinking about these technologies, we need to put the humans at the forefront of it all and see how this technology can be used. Of course, along that journey, as the other speakers have mentioned, I met a lot of, people who've been, kind enough to welcome me into this space of AI and provide guidance. And again, as the other speakers have mentioned, there's a lot of like resources, etc., available online as well that people can use to learn. There are so many, different programs that people can be a part of. Yeah, so my journey has sort of been in an indirect way, but I'm glad to be in this space right now.
Thank you so much, Farhan, for that. So I think we have seen something again here. Being into AI doesn't all need to be like being a computer science someone or having skills into coding. It doesn't end only into that. So coming up to the second questions, where I would ask for each panelist, for those who are starting out, especially maybe from non-technical fields, is it still important to learn coding, or there is the other emerging career path where other skills matters more? So we can start with Mr. Farhan. Do you think it is still important to learn coding for someone getting into AI? And if yes or no, what are the other opportunities that you see people they can get into that may matters more even beyond having skills into coding?
Thank you for that, Mgasa. I mean, I would say, like, for example, so I don't know coding and I don't have a coding brain at all. I know there is this general conversation in the ecosystem where we say that everyone needs to learn, like coding. I have never been able to. My brain doesn't work like that. And of course, now there's also this newer narrative that, you don't need to learn coding. You need to know how to use some of these tools that are already out there, such as ChatGPT, etc., to do the coding for you. So I definitely think it's not necessary for you to, get into coding. If you do, it's great. But I do think what's important is for us, and this is actually not just for professionals who are here. I think it's becoming more like something that's for everyone globally to sort of think about and understand, because of how transformative AI is going to be across, all the different sectors. I think it's important for everyone to at least understand the basics of how AI works, not necessarily from a coding tech perspective, but just from a what are all these different terminologies that we are talking about within AI, what are the different systems, etc., and all that. And I think that will go a long way, for anyone to sort of get into that. There are other pathways. So, for example, I definitely think, and that is where my work with the Tanzania AI community started. It was basically a thought process where we would bring AI sort of experts and AI practitioners and make them meet like people who are from the sector. So I was from the health sector. We had people from education, from agriculture, because AI needs certain problems to solve or certain use cases to build solutions on, and that will only come from the sector experts or the sector practitioners. So that's another way that you can get into the AI space. Find sort of core technical people who can do the coding, but you can sort of help them guide, help guide them to create the solutions and design them, etc., and then implement them as well. And then, of course, like I said, I'm personally also very passionate about governance, policies around AI, and that is a whole other area that definitely doesn't necessarily need you to know coding, but again, it does help if you know like the basics of AI as a concept, with the different terminologies, etc. So there's like, this AI as a technology is going to be so transformative that it's going to change literally everything about everything that we do, and there will be different pathways to get into it, but definitely advise everyone to start with the basics.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Farhan. And maybe we can ask you the same question to one among the remaining two. Maybe Dr. Dina, do you think it is still important to learn coding? And if yes or no, what are the other, because I think you are from the technical side.
Yeah.
Can you share, the same perspective in that question?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, it's not necessary. What I would really advocate in this this aspect is really interdisciplinary. It when especially because we use data science, machine learning as a tool to address real challenges. So as a tech person, as a coder, you can't work alone. You work with domain experts to address challenges, to address problems and develop solutions. So coding is not a fundamental skill, but forming an interdisciplinary team is really key, and that's how I really see the best approach to the problem. For example, you're working on a certain problem in agriculture and you're a coder. There's no way you can reach or reach even the target people without having a domain expert such as an agricultural an agricultural extension officer to work with in addressing that challenge, to understand the context. You're working on a health problem using data science, say maternal health care. You're developing maternal health care tool for pregnant women. But it's not easy as a coder to get that solution be usable, or even developing a solution in that context without working hand in hand with a medical doctor. So it really takes a team to realize a problem. So, and each one is skilled in their own field. A person is experienced in coding, another one is the domain expert, is whether it's a pharmacist or a medical doctor or agriculture extension officer. So it really takes a team, and coding is a skill. And now, as what my colleague, my fellow panelists said, now we have many tools that can really introduce you. So there's the chat GPT that can guide you on getting the thing, but it really takes a team to realize a certain problem in a given domain, where you have domain experts, you have data scientists who can do the coding or understand what ChatGPT, because as a non-coder, when you just get to ChatGPT and say that is really the final solution, you'll still need the input of a data scientist at one stage or the other to really assure you that that's the way to go. So I'm really for the move that it really takes a team to realize a solution that is data driven to be in place. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Dr. Dina. I think since it comes from someone who have technical background, I think you are the coder. This could help even others who are in the tech side, who are the coders, to understand that it's not just about code. It really takes to understand different domains if someone needs to pursue a career path into AI. And quickly, maybe for 1 or 2 minutes, the same question to Dr. Elsie. Can you share your perspective into that question before we move to the next one?
Yeah, sure. So I think it really depends on the career path you're going for, because there's so many different elements when it comes to AI as a career. If someone wants to build something, then I absolutely do recommend that you need to have some background in programming, not necessarily a background, but at least start learning something regarding programming. I think understanding what sort of goes on under the hood really helps you be more creative in how you want to use these modules for. And so I would encourage anyone who is trying to develop new solutions to also, yeah, really take coding, learning how to code into account. But otherwise, if it isn't anything that is dependent on programming, then of course they don't need to learn programming, because yeah, as the previous speakers already said, that there's so many resources that you can use, like ChatGPT, and so many other communities as well, and like different ways to navigate the space. As I would also sort of echo what Dr. Dina said. It's really important to also work with domain experts. And not only that, it's also really important to know how the domain that you're working in functions. If you're working in the health domain, to also know that when developing a module, if you're going to use data from people, then to seek ethical clearances to at least make sure that whatever you're developing has some sort of longevity to it. So yeah, that would be my opinion, that if you are working on something that's technical, then definitely do learn the code. Otherwise, if they're working on something different, then yeah, it would be, but I think it would be nice to at least know what the people programming are talking about, to at least sort of relate to it, because then it's going to be easier for you to even have some input to it. So I think it's an advantage, but definitely not the only way to navigate the field.
Thank you for that as well. So in the same category, in the early influences and the origins in your career path, we have one last question in this category. I think most of us, when we are starting in our early journey in our careers, there are some of the challenges that we might face, but we might don't know if they are challenges or not. For you, maybe starting with Dr. Dina, when you're starting, maybe in your undergraduate or early in your career, when you're still figuring out what can you choose, what are the challenges that you faced? It in your career path during early in those days? The challenges, one or two maybe, that you think other student might face currently, or someone who is starting in the career path. What are the challenges that you faced, and how did you solve them?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, challenges are the ones which make us move and be more aggressive. So they continue to be there. Early on, there was that, how do you strike a balance between passion, that I love coding, I love data science, it's really the hype, okay? Artificial intelligence is the hype. How do you balance between passion and getting the money? Because you can't devote all your time in coding and you don't see money coming in, because time so the striking that balance between passion in the field and also being able to get money from it, and so it was quite challenging. And back then, and I know until now, you're like, how do you strike that balance? How much time do I devote to learning, and how much time do you devote to finding money using the skills that you have? That's really the challenge, and I can't tell that I have a solution to it. But what I've learned, the community is very powerful, and we have our Tanzania AI community empowering us, and empowering us to work together, share the knowledge that we have. But how do we develop? How do we get money from these skills is also another challenge. So I started into data science in 2016, and I was then in my teaching career, and the way in academia or research, the way you are able to gain money is like not you have your salary as a full-time staff, but how do you get that extra, and is by applying for research projects. So I had to learn how to write research projects that will apply machine learning, deep learning, in order to get more funding. And that was not easy. Learning to write for a research proposal is another skill. So it really involves continuous learning. You should not get tired of learning new skills. As what Farhan said, you have to really keep yourself updated of what is happening in the field. So I learned how to write research proposals, and you write many and you don't get them through. You don't get them funded. So I started writing in 2017, but it's only in 2019 that I was able to get my first grant. So you see, 2 years down the road, but you just don't give up. You get a lot of rejections. I can't remember how many rejections I got. You get a lot of rejections on the proposal you submit, but there will be that one when you don't give up. So it took 2 years till I got research funding. And my goal was that I need to be able to support students, more students, so that through that research grant, I was able to support 3 master's students on their research work. And that really was quite a milestone by then. So that's how it is. We should not give up, but the thing is, how do you strike the balance between passion? But the community is very important. It is through the community where you volunteer your time, share your skills, that you get more skills, get more informed. And when you are equipped by the community, that's what you are going to use when going to look for those funded projects or initiatives ahead. So striking the balance is the key. Thank you.
Thank you for that. The key lessons, balancing between passion and getting money, because I think if you get into career and doesn't give you like those sort of economic returns and stuff like that, I think it can be challenging to get into that. Thank you for that, Dr. Dina. Coming to Dr. Elsie, what are your early challenges that you face and you think others might face currently, and how did you navigate from that?
Okay, so my challenges were a bit different because I got into the space when I was a student. So mainly my challenge, the biggest challenge was knowing the technical parts, sort of bringing together the technical parts. I was quite new at that time. The community wasn't as big as it is now, and that we didn't have, there were resources to use, yes, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So for me, really, my challenge was understanding and also getting an output from all the work that I was doing. But luckily, there's always so much strength in social media. So putting yourself out there and saying what you're doing, and also looking for opportunities like conferences and workshops that are really integrated into the AI space, trying to get to understand certain technologies better, certain aspects of AI better, really help. So I would say the challenges that I faced all had solutions. I didn't know that at first, but as I kept looking for solutions, I really did learn to rely on online sources for support. And I would also say that it's very important for the people who are starting early in their careers to look for communities that are doing something similar. There's different ways you can look for communities. There are communities based on the platform you're using. Say there's this there's a Python community. You can find a community in the area of federated learning. So if you do have like a technical challenge, as I did when I was starting off, there are always so many communities that you can rely on for technical expertise and to sort of help you navigate the space. The second challenge I did face was after having an output, after having this product, how do you get your foot out the door? So there's so many conferences that are happening. Some have the option of funding and some do not. You can also always offer to present your work or whatever you're doing online. And that would really help you connect with people who are doing something similar. It opens room for collaborations. So through that, you're able to make something out of yourself to help yourself sort of promote the work that you're doing, get out there and network with people. And that also always has a lot of opportunities. So I would say there were challenges, I did face challenges, but there are also a lot of viable solutions that people can also explore. And to also be bold, I would say people, they should be very bold. Don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to tell the people that are doing something similar what you want, and you never know who you're talking to and how they can help you. So always in this field, I would say be very bold, be fearless, and go for what you want and talk to people boldly and show them your skill. Always sharpen your skill so they find value in what you've been doing, so they're more open to working with you once they find out that you've really taken time to sharpen your skills in the area.
Thank you for that, Dr. Elsie. I think it could be very important for the participants who have joined us here today, getting into understanding there are challenges, but consistent is very important. And joining with the communities, learning from each other is what we are doing here. It's very important. So I think we can go to the second category of the questions. And Mr. Farhan, you can also share your challenges maybe into this category, into the next question as well. So in this category, we want to understand how to build the real capacity, skills, maybe navigating those mistakes and everything. So in this category, what we just want to understand, how did you, as the panelists, go from the learning and maybe contributing and the journey when you started Hub, and maybe who worked with you? That is the purpose of this category. So the first questions, I think it's very important to have maybe mentors or people who can help us in this journey to navigating the mistake, the breakthrough, and everything. So the question, starting with Mr. Farhan, do you think how much important it is to have a mentor, and how can we manage our relationship with our mentors who can help us to build the career path into AI? How can someone choose the mentor, and how can we manage those relationships with the mentors?
Thank you, Mgasa. Mgasa, just before I answer that particular question, I think just to sort of summarize in a way that I think might be easier for the students to remember some of the responses that Dr. Dina and Dr. Elsie gave. So usually when I talk to young people about like, career success, and I know how much students love mnemonics. So I have this thing that I call sort of the 3 C's of success in today's sort of career landscape. And it very much relates to what Dr. Dina and Dr. Elsie said, but I think it also helps summarize it. I think, for me, the 3 C's of like generally career success are: number one, continuous learning. So you need to sort of develop a spirit for continuously learning, right? Whether it is by joining networks, whether it is by reading, whether it is by doing courses, whether it is by conferences, etc. I think in today's time and age it's extremely important. The bad news is that don't think that you finish the degree, you have a degree and you are done with studying. In today's world, especially if you want to be competitive in the job market, that never stops. Like, you have to learn every single day. The second C is confidence. I think, and to I think what Dr. Elsie said as well, it relates to, I guess, being bold. I see a lot of, one of the challenges that is, at least in my opinion, prevalent in the youth is the fact that, you know, you might know things, but there is this fear, you know, of talking about the things, or of asking questions, or of reaching out to people, which relates to your mentorship question. But I think it's really important to be, especially if you are adequately, you know, like knowledgeable, talented in a particular area, be confident about it, be open to learning again, but be that, you know, have that boldness, have that confidence to be able to present yourself, because that is what will bring, I think, the right kinds of opportunities for you. And the last C is communication, right? You need to, as a young professional, think about how to brand yourself, how to, you know, present yourself. And I think what helps with this is being mindful of your presence on online platforms, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn, you know, and thinking about how you are interacting with people there. It's about, you know, again, how you are presenting yourself to people, how you are sharing your learnings, etc. So for me, I think those three C's are extremely important. Just wanted to give the students something to take away with them. As far as mentorship is concerned, I don't think in today's time, again, you will meet someone who will tell you that mentorship is not important. It's really a concept that has taken up, and I think there's a lot of case studies out there that show the value of that. You know, as you speak to a lot of people, I think the second part of that question of yours is the more important one in terms of managing mentor-mentee relationship. I think that's where a lot of the breakdown happens. And I feel like that's a whole topic in itself that could take another hour. But just, I think, in short, what I will say in the interest of time is that the the young professionals, I think, really need to understand that a good mentor-mentee relationship is driven by the mentee and not the mentor, because technically speaking, when you have a mentor, there are probably people who are more experienced than you in a particular area. That's why you've selected them. You know, so by design, there would probably be people who are ahead of you in the career curve. So their time is, you know, less, there is less availability, etc. Of course, that can depend, but it's really important for the mentees to drive that relationship, to make it more objective oriented. So you really need to know why you are approaching someone, what is it that you want to learn from them, be really specific about it, and just, you know, like, relating to what I said earlier, communication, I think, is extremely important. What I will say is that do not go into it with a mindset of, I once wrote an article that says mentors are not job portals. So do not go with it from a mindset of, I'm talking to this person because they're going to help me get a job or help me get a particular opportunity. I think that can happen, but the primary purpose is creating that relationship with someone that, you know, sort of motivates them to say your name in rooms where you are not there, etc. But that comes from effective relationship building, and that is the responsibility of the mentee. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you for that. Quickly, for the sake of time, Dr. Elsie, the importance of mentors and how can we manage those relationships?
I think mentors are definitely very important because I'm assuming this mentor is someone who has been in the field for a longer time than you have. So they have learned more. They have also made enough mistakes to sort of guide you into not making the same mistakes. I think it's also really important to find a mentor who you can relate to as well. I understand that there is always a need for us to find guidance, but I think you need to also be comfortable with the person guiding you. It will help you. It will help you have a better experience in your journey. And not only should you, as Farhan said, not only should you just rely on your mentor, but you need to go an extra mile to look for things for your own, opportunities for yourself, and sort of ask the mentor, okay, how can I navigate this properly? How can I handle this situation better? Because then sometimes we do have like the best intentions, but we don't necessarily have the best delivery. So I, yeah, definitely would say mentors are super important. And I would encourage everyone to sort of look for these mentors. I'm sure they can find them through LinkedIn, Twitter maybe. These people are usually very approachable, and yeah, they have a lot to gain from that.
Thank you for that, Dr. Elsie. To Dr. Dina, deciding your career path, was it mentors, trial and error, or following your own curiosity? If it was mentors, how can we manage that? And what are the maybe managing the relationship between mentors from your experience?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my responses do not differ much from what Farhan and Elsie have shared. Just to add on to what they've said, I'm really in agreement with what they've said. Maybe to add on to that, I would talk about the mentorship was really the starting point. And I would just take the case of Elsie. I taught her a course, but she's been very aggressive through the other networks she was able to establish through the community to go even further. So you can have a mentor just to get you started, but going forward is how aggressive you become and the network you form. So I would really end up with the 3 C's that Farhan has shared. That is really the path and what has really sparked. So from my experience, a mentor was there to get me started. And then through the networks I got established, you really move ahead, establish new mentors or new relationships, and don't lose that connection with your first mentor, mainly for reporting back your achievements. At times, a mentor follows and they really feel proud of where the milestones you have reached. But it's really good. The good starting point is really through mentorship, and use that channel to be very aggressive to form even stronger and more aggressive networks, and definitely stick to the 3 C's that Farhan has said. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that. And before even adding the other questions, if there would be any question from the participants in the joining us here, you can just give them into the chat before getting later on having your questions. If you have any question, you can drop them in the chat. So going to the next question, in the same category, we are trying to build the real capacity and the mistake maybe. The other questions, when things got difficult, I'm sure it might have been happened. When can you share even in your journey throughout the years, when things got difficult, maybe during learning or someone is feeling stuck, how can we push through that? And who helped you to stay on the track? Or what helped you to stay on the track? Farhan, when things got difficult during our learning journey, whatever, how can we push through that? And maybe if you have any techniques or sort of ideas we can share with us in that questions.
Thank you, Mgasa. I mean, I guess because I'm from the health background, I also tend to talk a lot about mental health and all that, and I feel that's also a good discussion to have, and it relates to your question. I mean, firstly, I think, having a continuous learning mindset, and that's exactly why I really push for that concept, is really helpful, because what it does is it turns every setback into a learning opportunity. I mean, I think for me personally, that is something that has really helped me in my career, just looking at setbacks, challenges, etc., as just learning opportunities, right? Like, what am I learning from this? How am I, going to improve? Or because, it I don't know, it doesn't really help to dwell on some of these challenges. But related to that, to your second question, I think it helps to have a support system, and that support system can be a lot of different people, right? Like it can be your family, it can be your friends, it can be your mentors, it can be your lecturers at university. I know universities also have a lot of resources when it comes to helping students. I think it's so again, just keeping it very short, I would say it really helps to have a continuous learning mindset. That is what I have done for myself whenever I have faced a lot of the challenges. And if you do feel like a challenge is sort of beyond your management, which that happens, then it's important to have a support system. And I think it's important for us all to figure out how to support each other. And I think it's interesting because we are also discussing this sort of within the framework of AI, where there is this global discussion right now about people sort of resorting to talking to chatbots rather than talking to people, etc. And there, all these different conversations. I do think, and that's why, like I said earlier, I push for a human first approach where I think we sort of still need to rely on each other for this kind of support before turning to other means. So yeah, have a continuous learning mindset and make sure you have some kind of support system around you that can be a lot of different individuals.
Thank you for that. And maybe we can have, because we are out of time, we just want to manage the short time that we have. In the same category, building the real capacity and skills, we can go to Dr. Dina Machuve. What are the essential skills, speaking to the technical people who they want to be AI developers today? What are the essential skills that someone can get into, and where can students build those skills while still in school or even the early graduates?
Yeah, thanks for that. I would really advise them again, the communities, find a community that with same interests at university, study groups, and start small. And really, there are a lot of cases out there. And start with the fundamentals. Go into coding. It's important. We have a lot of these chat GPT, but it's quite important to build the fundamental. Start with data structures and algorithms, mathematical foundations, and then when you get to coding, you really understand. So don't just go to coding without knowing the theoretical fundamentals. But again, it's all community. There's strong communities out there that can really help you on the journey. And definitely stick to the 3 C's and take good care of your mental health. That's very, very crucial now. Yeah.
To Dr. Elsie, the same questions, maybe the essential skill for aspiring AI developers today, and where they can get into that.
Yeah, thank you. So everyone has covered the importance of community, and yeah, I do also definitely agree that the community is able to help you find people who you can talk to and share your problems with. But something else that I noticed during my journey is learn when to take a step back and look at the problem you have from a different perspective. I remember when I was carrying out my master's research, there was a point when I was training my model. So it was an application that was intended to detect certain diseases. So with diagnosis, I'm not sure if I should use the word diagnosis or detection, but so it required me to put in symptoms, say malaria, put in malaria symptoms, and let the model sort of detect, or rather diagnose, what disease it was. So I remember during that time, I was inputting a lot of symptoms, and my model was just really predicting. The confidence of my model was so low, very low, and I was so frustrated. I hyperfixated on that problem for a week or two, it was so stressful. And, you know, sometimes as a student, you don't have the luxury of time. So you want everything to work perfectly, everything to work on time. So I remember talking to one of my friends, and they told me, like, take a step back and sort of think about what is happening here so that you can come up with fresh ideas. Don't just keep staring at the screen and keep doing the same thing over and over again. Go leave your screen for a minute, think about the problem when you're relaxed, and maybe you will have another approach. And so I did that, and only to find out that my model was working just perfectly. It was working perfectly. It was able to think the way a medical doctor would think, because when you go to a doctor and there's so many symptoms, there can be so many things that this person is suffering from. But when you come with like a smaller set of symptoms, then it's a bit easier to know what it is. And that was how my model was thinking. But at that time, I was so frustrated. So a takeaway that I got from that is always learn how to take a step back, look at your problem, talk to people, try to see what how they feel about your problem, because we tend to always think that our problems are so unique to us, but that is not true. Whatever problem that we're facing, somebody else has faced. And so it might not be the exact same context, but they can offer you advice that will help you deal with your problems better. So I know sometimes it's hard when you're in the programming loop, but always learn to take a break, always learn to share your problems and look at your problems from a different perspective.
Thank you so much for that. And as we are going up to end the sessions, we are going to the last category, and I think we would have one or two questions from that. The impact, purpose, and future pathway, how to get started with the critical, maybe techniques or whatever. The final questions, if there is one step, just one, that a student here who is listening right now can take for the next 30 days to move forward the career into AI, what would you tell them to do? And who should they talk to, reach out to, or learn from? If there is one step, just one, for a student here could take for the next 30 days to move toward their AI career, what would you tell them to do? Who should they talk to, or reach out to, or learn from? Starting with Mr. Farhan. I think I also post the question here before starting taking the question from the other people.
Okay, thank you for that, Mgasa. I mean, in terms of like just one sort of step, I mean, you know, as I mentioned earlier, keep that sort of 3C framework in your mind. I think it helps. But for the capacity, I think what helps is for students to, I mean, I do that even as a professional right now in my life. At the start of every year, I sort of sit and sort of develop almost like a capacity building plan for myself, you know, where I'm thinking about, okay, so it takes a little bit of reflection in terms of like, you know, what are you seeing happen around you in the job market, etc. What are the skills that you think you are lacking in terms of, you know, being able to perform, and then develop like an annual learning plan where I'm like, okay, I need this particular skill, this is how I'm going to get it. And there can be different ways that you can get those skills. Either it is through, you know, doing online courses, or, you know, talking to certain people, etc. But it helps to have like a clearly made sort of capacity building learning plan, and I usually push all professionals to do this. So maybe in the next 30 days, if you are a student, and I know you are already studying a lot in university, this is not necessarily to add to your burden, but do sit and think about, you know, maybe outside of what you are learning in university, is there anything that you need to learn? And then think, reflect a little bit on how you can learn that. And I think this is where, again, mentors can also be useful. If you already have mentors, or even if you don't, go to a university lecturer, sit with them, tell them, you know, I want to learn this in this year, can you guide me how I do that, etc. But it does help to have something written down. I'm a big believer in that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Farhan. The second one, Dr. Dina, the same question.
Actually, my response doesn't differ much from Farhan. that you take time to uh, to evaluate yourself and what you lack, and especially like on what challenge you're going to work on, if you're working on a project or you're working on something. So you want to be a data scientist, which domain? You want to work in health, agriculture, or research? You look onto that path, and you try to benchmark the skills that you need from the best. From the best, there are quite a role models out there, and that's really when you take time to take that to do that evaluation, and once you have evaluated the skills that you need, that's when you try to speak to a mentor or someone who has succeeded in that field to really compare the plan you have developed to what they have gone through. That's what I really see as the way forward in my advice. Thanks.
To Dr. Elsie, if there is one step that a student here can take for the next 30 days to move on with their career into AI, what can you tell them? Who should they talk to or reach out to or learn from?
I would say be bold. Be very bold. You have nothing to lose. I should know this. So be bold. Look for people who are doing similar things that you want to dive into. Reach out to them, tell them what you need. Be very direct in your approach. Tell them exactly what you need and what outcome you're hoping to achieve. And also accept criticism. Whenever somebody talks to you about the work that you've done, it's never about you as a person. They're talking about your work. So be open to positive criticism. And if anything, go out of your way to look for positive criticism, because that's when you grow. And also be very humble in your learning journey. It's so easy to work with a person who listens, a person who you can sort of, a good person to work with. Like, be a person who people would want to work with. Don't be difficult. Don't, always listen, and be bold.
Okay. So I think that was the last question from my side. And maybe we can we have some few questions from the chat here. And then I would pick the first question from Anel. She asked it, as a technical expert, how do you balance being a creative person and still being a technical person? Because in many scenarios, technical people can juggle creativity alongside their technical activities. So I think this question, we can direct it to Dr. Dina and Dr. Elsie, if you can share an answer to that. As a technical person, how did you balance between being a creative person and being a technical person?
Maybe Elsie can start.
Dr. Elsie or Farhan, if you have an answer.
I would say for me, it's my creativity that was the driving force. I looked at, as I said earlier, I'm very much interested in the health domain, and I'm always looking for problems to solve in the health domain. Right now, I'm so deep into mental health, as you mentioned earlier, especially depression. So for me, it has always been, look at the problem. This is the problem. This is how much it's affecting people. And of course, this is me talking from a research background. This is the problem that a lot of people are facing. Like, how can I get on top of this? How can I sort of use the technical expertise that I have to create solutions? And how can I build systems that are very, friendly, I would say, things that are meant to benefit people rather than drive them, farther towards the edge. So for me, I would say it does go hand in hand. And I would also advise the person asking the question that always talk to people who are actually hands-on, people who are in the field, for you to really get a feel of how how people there navigate. Sometimes some things people would assume aren't necessarily true. So for me, I would say I never needed to juggle anything. My creativity was the driving force for me, and it has really been the driving force to this day. And yeah, there's so much I've been able to achieve because of my creativity.
Okay.
So Mgasa, just to add on that, right? And I mentioned this in the chat as well. I think this is also where people need to think about, as I believe Dr. Elsie or Dr. Dina had mentioned earlier, forming these multidisciplinary teams. I think the approach necessarily doesn't have to be that you need to juggle and you need to do everything. I think that might end up becoming too much, but this is where I think naturally creative people should come together and work with the tech people, work with the domain experts, etc. So I would say, by all means, if there are ways you think you can sort of stimulate your own creativity, do that. But in the event that that seems difficult to do, I think the next best thing is to just work with creative people, or work with just form those teams where you can fill each other's gaps.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Farhan. The other question was directed to Dr. Dina. Hassan, a student from MUHAS. Dr. Dina spoke of starting with basics. However, the basics are way diverse, and at the times it's difficult to focus. How did you navigate through these varieties of logical distractions?
Thanks for the question, Hassan, and Gasa for voicing it out. I can't say that I'm stable now, but I use that technique of stepping back and really evaluate yourself. And the times you really go is back and forth. You wish you had this pathway from the beginning, but really, because I didn't have that pathway or good mentor with programming skills, and I didn't give up. That's really the main thing. And I also take time to really take care of my mental health so that I remain stable. Stop from programming and do something else different. I enjoy part-time farming, gardening. It helps a lot. I exercise. So you really it, and then when you come back to the programming, you are all refreshed. So you really need to find something to make sure that you are able to remain stable and sane. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that, Dr. Dina. The other question from Yuma Rubea. He said, majority of the mentors says AI is expensive. So how do you motivate students to pursue this career on themselves without external support like from universities or a company? Mr. Farhan, if we can start with that. I think you also shared something into the chat.
No, I mean the response that I gave Mgasa was to the earlier question around, the basics and all that. And just to add, I think to what Dr. Dina said, I think what helps, as I mentioned earlier, is to, I think, having like a concrete sort of learning plan helps you focus on those, like what exactly are the basics that you need to learn. But then also when you have something written down, it holds you accountable and allows you to stay away from distractions. With regards to this particular question, I mean, I sort of shied away from answering it because I feel like this is very much an entrepreneurial question, because I mean, in my mind, AI, yes, is an expensive technology, but I guess if you're thinking from a, I guess, developer perspective, where you're thinking about developing your own sort of tools and technologies, etc., which I know that there is a narrative on the African continent right now that we need to develop our own models, etc. I think it's a good conversation to have, but that is where, in my opinion, it becomes expensive. But if you are sort of building yourself as an AI practitioner for someone who is thinking about using tools that are already in that are already developed, or you are trying to function in the job market, I think that you can do just depending on your skill set and how you develop it. But yes, if you are planning to develop your own sort of technologies, etc., your own language models and all that, that definitely might become expensive. But I think it's also a matter of, like advocacy. It's a matter of talking to, like we need to also, and this is where I said that there are things about AI that are not necessarily technical at all. I think we need to, and these are conversations that are happening in other countries in the world where they have figured out the tech part of it, but we need to think about financing. We need to think about energy. We need to think about data centers. We need to think about water supply. We need to, like, there's so many things that need to be thought about that are, and these are conversations that are happening sort of outside of our current ecosystem, but we need to sort of think about that. We need to advocate with our governments, for example, to think about making these kinds of investments, etc. So it's a loaded question, but I do think that if you are someone who is planning to just be a part of the ecosystem and use things that are already available, maybe you don't necessarily need to worry about this too much. But yes, if you are thinking bigger, which by all means do, just think about the whole ecosystem and how it's playing out in terms of you thinking about becoming a developer of technologies aside from someone who is just using them, is how I would respond.
Thank you for that. I think we will end up the session in the next 8 minutes. We'll just take into look into other questions from the chat. Someone is asking, what are the beginner-friendly AI projects students can do to strengthen their understanding before graduation? Dr. Elsie, can you take into that?
Yes, I think I began with classification problems. I started off with traditional machine learning. So there are classification problems that are, they're also available. I think you can get them through Kaggle. And yeah, there are also data sets there, so you can sort of play around with it, and you can choose something that you're interested in, like a domain that you're interested in, and sort of play around with it. There's so many open source tools for that.
Dr. Dina, if you can share something into that.
Yeah, the same what Elsie has shared. Yeah.
Okay.
But I also really put on to algorithms as well is important. I've shared a resource there on the chat. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. The other question someone has asked, assuming I'm absolutely new to artificial intelligence and I would like to find a path there, again, referring to Dr. Dina on basics as a starting point, what exactly would be the basics for this path? I think Dr. Dina have answered that. Algorithms, so has been shared the link into the chat. The other questions, I'm trying to find out if there's any that we have missed.
Yeah. I think there's one at the top from Fred Hala about artists. Do you see that one?
Yeah. Fred Hala asked it. Most of the artists are afraid of AI license instead of embracing it as a tool. It becomes instead of embracing it as a tool, it becomes an enemy with a lot of critics on images created through AI. What is the impact for artists and AI development? What is the impact for artists and AI development? I think Farhan, can you give us your perspective into that question?
Thank you, Mgasa. I mean, I think now these are, some of these are broader, almost philosophical questions and debates that are happening globally. I mean, I think generally we do have different people sort of processing the growth of AI in different ways. Some people see it as competition, some people see it as a tool to enhance certain aspects. Some people see it as a sort of worker or co-supporter. There is a lot of risk. I think at least like I said, and I can talk on and on about why I think we really need to think about having a human first approach as we develop AI, because some of the fears that people have about, being replaced in our work, or the way artists have, in terms of like thinking about that now AI is creating its own music, AI can create its own art and all of that. So some of these fears, in my opinion, are validated. But then I think this is where I will again take us to thinking about aspects like governance and leadership, and talking to and looking at how different countries or continents globally are dealing with the AI movement. Because I think if you look at the European sort of model of AI development, is very different from what US is doing, from what China is doing, and some of these things are implicated within that. So I don't think that is is a question that has a clear answer. It needs a lot more discussion, and some of those discussions are already happening on a global scale. So I would advise again the person who asked the question to also sort of get into that space, especially if they are an artist, and think about. But really, it will come down also to personal mindset in terms of whether you are embracing this and seeing it as something that can support you, or you are looking at it as something that's going to replace you. So yeah, I'll answer it in that way.
Thank you for that. We have 4
So
minutes
one
remaining.
last one from Ezra.
Yeah, from Ezra Evans Nyamongo. He said, what are some common mistakes students make when trying to start a career into AI, and how can we avoid them? We will start with Dr. Dina, and then Dr. Elsie, and finalizing with Mr. Farhan Yusuf.
Let my colleagues go first, and as I think through it.
Okay, Mr. Farhan, can you take us through that?
Sure, Mgasa. So I mean, for me, I think what immediately comes to mind is that think about being a problem solver, right? And think about identifying the right kinds of problems that are there currently in the world that you can, solve using AI. Do not use AI because it sounds cool. Do not use AI for the sake of using AI. I mean, I think, and this is not just related to AI, I think it's been a challenge within the general entrepreneurial startup sector, where I think some sort of young people get into it just wanting to get into a startup space. There's a lot of, what I call the founder syndrome that goes on around in young people, where everyone wants to be a founder and a CEO, and sometimes they are founding solutions, or they are founding organizations, etc., that are not really solving a problem. So I would say, please spend a lot of time in talking to people, going to communities, reading, learning, so that you are able to find out what problems exist that you are able to solve with AI. That's a really important thing.
Thank you for that. Dr. Elsie, do you have anything to take us in through that?
Yeah, I would say take it one day at a time. You don't need to know everything all at once. Take it one day at a time. And yeah, just pace yourself and you should be fine.
Thank you for that. So I think
one more from Lubango.
One more from Lubango. Lubango is asking, as a Tanzanian, you may have purpose and determination to learn, but there are barriers to acquire the new technologies like AI due to the lack of knowledge and limitations. Right expertise to assist you to reach there. As an expert, how do you help us fulfill such ambitions and dreams since practicality is very low? Farhan, yeah. Oh, Dr. Dina, welcome.
I think that's where the Tanzania AI community comes in. That's really a very good starting point. Don't start with the mindset that there are barriers, but be positive. Reach out to the community. They will direct you to the right experts, by then link you to the right people. Again, And once you are linked to the right people, you'll definitely get the right advice. And it's the community. So you bring these questions to the community so that you get response. We are the ones to shape how our Tanzania AI community should assist us. So that's where I really find the strength of the community. That's where you are linked to experts and you get responses to different questions and the way the path is. But really, I really see that currently the AI landscape, a lot of open resources out there, a lot of open resources to start learning from. And we have the community. When we started on AI, we didn't have the Tanzania AI community, which is really, we are the ones to say, to dictate how it should assist us in the career path and even on starting that. So that's really my response to that. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Dr. Elsie, do you have something before we end up?
I totally agree with Dr. Dina. I got into the domain 6 years ago, so everything has changed. There's so many tools now, and most things are open source. So yeah, there really isn't, and there is always a starting point. So I would just encourage whoever asks the question, just go for it. Look at open source platforms where you can get the tools that you need. Use ChatGPT to also sort of navigate whatever you don't know how to navigate. And also, yeah, the community really does help.
Thank you for that. And I think this would mark the end of our...
Mgasa, actually, do you mind if I steal a few minutes? I have a question also.
Okay.
One last one, if that's okay. How is the job market for AI and ML jobs in Tanzania? Are there many jobs out there? Is it in companies or universities? Or is it more about creating your own jobs by being an entrepreneur or using AI in a current position?
I think the latter is what is working right now, developing your own tools and being able to get the finances. Companies are embracing AI, but they don't mention it as AI directly, but they incorporate it in adding value to their services they offer. But the job market directly as an AI researcher, as an AI person, mainly in academia, because most of the universities now are starting programs on data science. So in research through academia and in industry, the uptake is coming up. A lot of startups now are developing tools that are normally like you develop a very good tool and then Vodacom comes and acquire it. Some startups make good money, but it's coming up slowly in the industry. And that's how it is, yeah. According to my experience, yeah, it's emerging.
Okay, great. Hey, Farhan has a hand up.
Yes, Lonnie. So just to add to that, though, Lonnie, I mean, I definitely agree with the status that Dr. Dina has provided, but I'll also say one thing. I feel like, yes, it's great that we have we have an AI community and we are discussing all these things, but in my opinion, I also feel like the general sort of, there is a lot of either lack of understanding of AI and knowing how exactly it works. A lot of people will tell you that, because I remember, and I might be mistaken about this, but I remember a few years ago someone from like the management team of Vodacom had said that, I am willing to hire like 50 people who know AI because we are thinking about some of these solutions, but I can't find the right kind of people. So I do think that what we need to focus on a lot, and I know even as the Tanzania AI community, this is something that we really sort of think about a lot as well, in that, how do we like actually like build the skill sets and have like actual sort of strongly technical people who are doing AI beyond buzzwork? How do we sort of, share with the general industry that this is the talent that we have available, this is what AI is able to do for you? Because I do think that if we are able to have the right kind of technical skills, the right kind of solutions, and we are able to showcase them in the right way, then in today's time, I don't think there's any industry that would not really want to take advantage of AI, right? But I do think there is a lot of lack of understanding. There is some skepticism. Of course, we also need to think about like legal frameworks and policy frameworks and all of that, which I know the Ministry of ICT is already working on. We also need to think about that before we just jump into or ask like these industry-based questions. So I feel like there's some amount of like baseline work that needs to be done, and all of us as a community, not just the Tanzania AI community as an organization, but all of us as a community need to sort of come together and figure out how do we create this, as we like to call it, an enabling environment for AI to flourish in Tanzania.
Wow, great. So it's both sides then, the demand and also the supply of talent when the demand is there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Are you done, Mr. Ronnie?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Mgasa,
so
go on. You can close.
proceed, please.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I think we are about to close these sessions, and thank you very much to Dr. Dina Machuve, Dr. Elsie Kaaya, and Mr. Farhan Yusuf for your time and for sharing your experience throughout those years that you have been going through while building your career path. The key important thing is we need continuous learning, communication is the key, and we need to have confidence. There's a lot of lessons that we can get from this session, but I think the session is also, it was recorded. You can get them in the YouTube channel. And the last thing, perhaps, AI community is building an AI community platform, and I've shared the link on the chat. The goal of this platform is to enable collaboration and having all the important people, being the mentors, the students, and everyone getting connected to between each other. So I've shared the link. You can go and register from there. And then I think you can find a lot of practitioners in our ecosystems. We have people with very good profiles who have done a lot of peoples. You can just getting connected with them there, reach out to LinkedIn, find out mentors. Perhaps you never know. You can get someone, or you can get whatever we are talking about. People who have the certain skills are there. Maybe you can get the job, perhaps the founders there, the students like you can get connected to. So you can go into that link, register your profile, put your profile, and that I think is one of the initiatives that Tanzania community is building on. So this marks the end of our session, and I think it would be very, very insightful session. And thank you for that, Mr. Lone as well.